Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gaming Daddy channel. Today we're going to be looking at some more Division 2 discussions. I'm looking and setting my sights on survival, and the reason I'm doing this now is the last time I asked about this, I was watching a live stream from one of the community managers a long time ago. This community manager is not even in Ubisoft anymore. This is after Division 2 came out nonetheless. And we asked about survival, and he said, there's currently no discussions on the table right now for survival. And he said something along the lines of, players can just enjoy survival from the Division 1. And, I guess that's basically where his stance was, because, players are asking, we're going to get something like this. And this was way before Warlords of New York came out. And so thinking about it now that we have New York back into the lore, I think it makes sense to do survival because there's a lot of work and a lot of data and a huge template that can be taken from there. I've also, on the other hand, seen a lot of, comments and a lot of sentiment against this. So I'm not unaware of that. I've seen people say, it feels and sounds lazy that they would take old content from the Division 1 and rehash it. If you're saying that right now, you're too late because we already have 2 global events that are already taking place. That is rehashed content from the Division 1. And what has happened is I've found myself in a place where I haven't played the global events. And it's not because I'm not interested in them, is because they're not as rewarding as the global events from Division 1. Global events in Division 1 actually did reward you a lot. You could get global event currency to buy global event caches. And this was a big deal. If they had something of the nature where you could buy exotic caches with global event credits, this would have definitely opened up the door for a lot more players to do, because right now I'm like, there's nothing I really need to play the global events for. I don't want a backpack trophy. I really don't gather them. I know many of my other, players and even content creators, some of them value those things, and that's fine. I've just never really cared for them. So that's why I haven't played any of the global events, I guess. That's one way to put it. But on the other hand, if you think about survival does have a lot of things that I feel will appeal to a wide aspect of the community. So even though there might be a community that says, we're burned out on survival, or part of the community that says we don't like survival, we have to also think about a new spin on it that might make it appealing for everybody. And I guess that spin will be based on the data that the developers collect or have collected from the first survival in the Division 1. Was that mode too long? Could they have added other sub modes, other kinds of game modes to it that would have actually made it much more interesting, other than just the PvE version and the PvP version? In fact, just those 2 alone, I'm going to say were actually pretty good. Another thing is, could it be that with the new Dark Zone that is rumored to be in the works, because if you guys have not heard, there are a lot of these little phone conversations that allude to another Dark Zone in New York in the Division 2. And, people have been talking about the potential locations that look like they're going to be likely Dark Zones on the map in New York. So if you haven't been, keeping your ear to the ground, this was shared by a content creator a while ago, a new YouTube channel, basically. I mean, you got to dig up a lot of these Division channels these days. It's like the algorithm just wants to hide them. And so if you think about all of that, I think this might be a viable option. I know many have also asked for Underground. Underground will not be a difficult thing to add, especially somewhere in DC. There's even a classified mission, if you guys didn't know, that's actually located underground. It's so weird. It's located right there by the crash site control point. There's that little underground thing that you can go into, like a destroyed location. If you look back at the trailer, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I might find footage for you to be able to point it on the map, and you can go check it out. But you have to have the season pass to play those classified missions. It's actually an interesting classified mission. And so I think if you put survival in the game, you have a very good chance of having that replayable content. And, the reward system might also provide for, a refreshing change. And if you do a PvE and PvP mode, this will probably appeal to those people who want to just go into the survival mode for the PvP aspect and the competitive aspect as well. I know that there are people that have played and enjoyed PvP on different fronts and are like, it would be nice to try something fresh with the new PvP game mode. This is probably a way to be able to put that in there, because I've heard this sentiment and this comment a lot about, PvP players saying that PvP keeps the game alive. I don't think so. I think PvP is a very small aspect of the game, but that's a whole discussion for another day. So looking at everything, I think right now is the perfect opportunity to add survival to the game. I mean, why not? The first one was actually pretty decent. It introduced the hunters to us. Everybody was really excited to actually get their hands on survival mode. It tested your ability, your knowledge of the map. It tested how well of a division agent you were and how you could basically understand, the game systems. Now, I can understand if you try to pull it off in DC, it will require for a huge map, redesign. If you try to pull it off in New York, it will also require a huge map redesign, because if you think about Division 1's map, you used it. Survival covered the entire map, but then there were all these structures and buildings and apartments that you could walk into to allow for the cold and warm and temperature mechanics of your agent. But if you think about it again, maybe down the road, the lore could move us back into the snow time, and the Snowdrop engine can actually show its true colors, because I'm telling you, Division 2 looks really good, but I cannot imagine what it would look like or how much better it'll look like if you had snow on the ground. So thinking about all of this, I think we need to start this discussion and fuel it and just start even pushing it forward, even if we don't get a survival, but for the sake of replayable content, I think it's a conversation worth having down the road. I know seasons are a thing coming up. A lot of people have asked me if I'm going to pay the $10 for the season track. It's just a season reward track, basically. I've told people in my replies that I'll buy a lawn chair and sit down outside. And I really do mean that, because instead of buying the season reward track, I can just farm for those items. A lot of them will probably be, something that you can get as a drop, or somebody can drop it for you when they get a second one. So somebody's probably going to pay for my drops. I mean, somebody's probably going to get one from the season, reward track, and then have an extra, most likely, donated to the Gamey Daddy, Loot Foundation. I don't know. I think that's basically what it's going to be. But there are other games coming out, and, I don't know about spending that $10. I would prefer, though, to spend, maybe a little more on replayable content, extra game modes, things that do provide a lot more playtime that you can tie season activities into much better, rather than just, the already prevailing content on here. And I know it's hard work. It's a lot of work to program, content and program missions. But I feel like, as time goes on, the development plan should at least have something like that on the back end. So every time they're trying to bring out, perhaps a season, and this is from, hindsight's always 2020, but if I was maybe charting the game, I'd say, let's have a mission or a side mission that can be accessed every time, and let's have it on the back end, so that every time we drop something big, we have a new side mission that people can go explore. We have a new boss, we have a new mechanic, we have new stage level designs, eye candy, because I bet you there are a lot of those concepts that are probably sitting on computers in those studios. I mean, think about the team that went ahead and made the hardcore mode. They said it wasn't going to be taking anything away from development time. I wonder how much more stuff that, many teams and many sub teams have been working on that has not taken anything away from development time. So think about it as a division agent. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. I appreciate you guys this time and audience. Thank you for even staying tuned on the Gamey Daddy channel, even though some of you are probably still playing, some of you are probably taking a break. That's perfectly fine. I take breaks too from the Division 2 because it's a healthy thing to do. All right, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.